See, they knew you were going to activate. They already knew you were going to activate. I mean, if you're picking up from the last drop, you are right on time, right about now. And they've been watching, tracking your every move. You know, they knew exactly when you got here, how you got here, and when you're going to activate. You wonder how, right? Well, we're digging on a natal chart. And they're saying that a natal chart is basically a snapshot of the sky at the moment where you were born. Alright, your natal chart gives clues to your life, to your major life lessons. And it shows your destiny and reveals your personality traits and hidden desires, as well as points out, I guess they meant point out the way to your soul's purpose. Alright. We're just talking about your natal chart. Your natal chart, alright? And like I said, they knew exactly when you were coming through. Alright, they knew the exact moment you broke through the matrix by tracking your natal chart. Alright. By way of example, this is mine. Alright. Let's just see what we got. Let's get that back real quick. Alright. So, just off top, we just looking at it. Alright. For what it is. And, this is more like a graph, we can say. Not necessarily pie, but in the spreadsheet form. But for those that can read it, they can see exactly what it is. We'll break it down in a later installment. We're not going to do that right now, right here. But I'm just showcasing an example of a natal chart. Alright. And it's based off this natal chart that yeah, you know what I'm saying, they were going to track you. Alright. So that's what we're digging on right about now. As you can see, there are many different forms, but we're not gonna break all that down right now. We're gonna go ahead and keep it moving. But you may be wondering who, right? Who's keeping track of you? Who's watching you? Let's get straight into it. Right, because when we left off, I was asking what we were looking at. We're digging on the Watchers. And I remember asking, what were we looking at? I'm still asking, what are we looking at when it comes to the Watchers? And I'm gonna scroll back up because I want to highlight something that stood out. We're gonna know, break it down from there. All right. We're talking about the Watchers. We're talking about the Grigory. As you can see right here, right? The Grigory. The Grigory breaks down who and what the Watchers are. You're gonna see how this all lines up. All right. So moving along, we're digging on Grigory. And Grigory means to be wakeful. It means the waking or to be awake. Or those who are always awake. Alright. Those who are always awake. Those who are always watching. Always watching. Right? Watching what? Well, they're watching your natal chart. They're watching the development of everything and everyone. And, you know, they involve themselves into every single thing. Every single thing, these Grigory. Alright? It says the Hebrew equivalent, meaning waking, awake. Alright. And they say they even have different appearances. Some of these are known to be of the size of giants. You know, things to pay attention to. Alright, we're talking about the Grigory. We're talking about the Watchers. The Grigory. The Watchers are a group of so-called fallen angels. Alright. You're gonna dodge the hijack, you know, the way you need to. But we are here for the terminology. And like always, to get the babies out the bathwater. So, as you can see, you know, the Grigory are known for creating, at least to the text version or the interpretation of this New World Encyclopedia, digging on the term Grigory, they're the ones who gave rise to a race of hybrids. And it was thanks to these Watchers. Alright? The ones who are awake, in the act of waking. They created, as we'll see, these hybrids. Nonetheless, it says Grigory is a transliteration of the Greek word meaning watchers. Those that are always watching. Alright. You know, when we're talking about the so-called natal chart, these things have a lot to do with how to read something, because in all technicalities, it's really a map. Alright, it's really a map. And once you know how to read the map, you start to read a lot more, and you're able to see a lot more into the esoteric. The things that the elite refer to as hidden information. And these Grigories are constantly watching. Constant. Alright. Now, how constant? As you see, right? We're digging on the Gregorian calendar. Right? And the Gregorian calendar is the calendar we all use today, which consists of the 365 days with 12 months with an average of 28 to 31 days in a month. All right. And this is the calendar system that we use today. Now, I'm bringing you through the term Grigory because, as you can see, we're looking at the Gregorian calendar. Now, if the Grigory it says right here, the Grigory were truly the most human of angels. The Grigory were truly the most human of angels. They can blend with humanity, cope with petty selfishness and daily sins of men without twitching. They interact with humans as near equals and all the while retain their divinity. The Grigory were the only angels who really understood humans. It says even the Mercurians, who love humans intuitively, understood the intricate web of human relationships, were still removed from mankind as benevolent teachers and keep themselves at once involved and yet detached from their pupils. So out of all these different types of angels, the Grigory were known to be the most interacting. Alright. You know, they supposedly were the ones who knew you best, right? So we're digging on the Gregorian calendar. You know, if you're using the Gregorian calendar, the month is May. You know, it could be the 11th, it could be the 12th. It depends on what time you're getting this. But this is called the Gregorian calendar. All right, so we're gonna dig on this Gregorian calendar as we continue to dig on the Grigory. So let's see what we're tapped into, and let's see what we got. Peace. See, a lot of people talk shit. Alright? And they talk shit because they feel like they can. Their mindset puts them in a comfortability to express what they consider to be the average, right? The flow, the reality of things. But very few people look beneath the surface because that's what society does not teach, right? Society doesn't teach you to look below the surface. So everything that you see is on face value. You know, so people tend to talk shit. And it's funny because most of the people who talk shit don't read. Right? For instance, we're looking at Gregorian. Alright? We've been digging on the Grigory. Now, in etymology, Gregorian, which is the calendar that you're in use right now, or that you have in use, it says that it's pertaining to Gregory. Gregory. All right. Now, everything is also about pronunciation. Okay. Because one word can translate into another word, and yet it's still the same word, and it have two completely different meanings. And for those that are surfing the wave, those within the flow already hear the same words I've been using since I started. But anyways, we're digging on Gregorian, and we're talking about how Gregorian pertains to Gregory. What is Gregory? Who is Gregory? Right? Outside of the Pope, who is Gregory? What is Gregory? It says that Gregory is a masculine proper name in England. It says that it was used around the mid-12th century. Okay, and it was popularized by Pope Gregory. Okay. Now it says that the late Latin version is Gregorius, and Gregorius literally means wakeful. Gregorios, a derivative of Gregorios, to be watchful, to be awake. He is awake, wakes up, rouses. Gregory is none other than Grigory. See, if you split it in half right here at the E, you have Gray and then Gory. Grigory. Right? Grigory. And as we see right here, the Grigory in Hebrew, which is a Hebrew word, right, refers to wakefulness, to be awake. And who are the watchers? Alright? So the fact that you have a Gregorian calendar, right, which you use to keep track of time that is outside of you, right? Time that is always watched. You have to watch time in order to tell it. Alright, so as you can see, we're digging on the watchers, the Grigories, the Gregory. But they say the Gregorians are angels, right? And what is an angel? Well, an angel is one of a class of spiritual beings, a supposed attendant and messenger of God. Alright? Literally meaning a messenger, an envoy, one that announces. Right? Angels. And the Hebrew word for angel is malak, an errant spirit. Now it's crazy that Grigory and malak are not the same word. And although they can be used to both mean angel, we're talking about two different sets. We're talking about those that watch and those that give messages. Alright. And it's the ones who watch that have given you your calendar. Alright, so we're digging on angels. Alright, but as we can see right here, angel is really Engel. Engel, like England, right? Or what? Or angle. Angle, right? Angel, angle. See that right there? Angle. So when we're talking about the hounds of the barrier, are we talking angles? Angels? Are we talking watchers? Thoth, would he be a watcher? A Grigory? Using his circular paths to navigate in his attempt above the barrier? Who knows, right? But we're talking about angles and angles of light. Right? So we're digging on angels and Grigories, and how now, I mean, especially when we get into the different days of the week, the different months of the year, they all attribute to a so-called goddess, to a so-called god. Are we talking about angels? Are we talking about Grigories? Those who felt like they knew humans best? Who understood them the most of all the rest of the class of angels? Angle, right? Old English, angel. See? To bend, to hook, fish hook. Alright? So we're just digging on the messengers or the watchers. So we're going to continue on to the next one. We're going to see what else we have in store. Make sure that you follow along and keep up. So when we're talking about angles of light, alright, we're really talking about what? Alright, and what does it mean, angle of light? What type of light? What type of light? Can we get any example? Can we get anything specific? And does this angle of light, is it in any way familiar to us, to our anatomy? Is this something that we can relate to? There's only one way to check it out, right? So let's catch it. Alright, so when it comes to light, I automatically thought about the sun. Alright. And you know, I'm digging on the sun and I'm trying to figure out, like, man, you know, I know we work with the sun as a form of so-called light, if that's what we want to refer to it as. And it just made me wonder how much, or, you know, what the sun was made of. That's what I say. So, you know, I asked how much hydrogen is in the sun, because I found out that, you know, the sun has hydrogen. And it says that the sun at present is about 70% hydrogen and 28% helium. By mass, everything else, metals, amounts to less than 2%. Alright. So the sun is 70% hydrogen. Alright, hydrogen. And that really sparked a light bulb, right? Because now I'm digging on hydrogen within the sun. Within this light. Alright, and hydrogen is already an element. So if you're digging on the wheel of melanin, then you know, you understand we're in the elemental talk right about now. And just like I said, we was gonna go ahead and get to it. So we're talking about this hydrogen. Alright, this hydrogen is 70% of the sun. So let's break down this hydrogen. And it says hydrogen, right, is a colorless gaseous element. It's colorless. Alright. And it's from the Greek hydra, the stem of hydor, which is water. It means water, with the suffix of gen or gene, to produce. So hydrogen, or the gene of hydro, is the gene of water. And that's exactly what hydrogen means. It means the gene of water. So the fact that the sun contains about 70% of water should now tell you something about what you thought you knew of your working sun. It's not what you thought it was, right? And hydrogen is a colorless gas. Colorless. So, we're always giving the sun an orange, yellow tint because, that's what we think the color is, right? It looks like that. But hydrogen in itself is actually colorless. All right, as a gaseous element. But nonetheless, hydrogen means water. All right, hydrogen means water. So the one thing that we attribute to all of our heat and, the source of all of our dryness is really filled with water. Now, how's that for an angle of light? All right, which is interesting because if we're talking about the sun containing about 70% hydrogen, right? Let's look at this. We're gonna do this in real time. All right, we're gonna do this in real time. Let's get a duplicate. Instead, we're gonna ask this question: how much up to 60% supposedly. It used to be 70. Alright, but nonetheless, it's about almost the same amount of water contained in the sun that is water in the human body. Alright. So that's a trip. Alright. And as we're digging on hydrogen, it being a colorless gaseous element that's really the gene of water, right? Because it's producing water. Let's dig on gen, right? Gen meaning something produced. Thing that produces or causes, things that give birth. Alright? Birth. That's what gen means. So oxygen. Alright? That should let you know something. It's the producing of what? The breath. Alright? So hydrogen is the production of water. Alright? The production of water. So that led me, to this point, right? Which is the sun is water. Alright? And we're gonna get right here. Does the sun have water? What does it read? Like all stars, the sun contains every known element, including oxygen and hydrogen. In some places, the sun's oxygen and hydrogen even combine to form H2O or water. So hot, in fact, that nearly all its atoms, including oxygen and hydrogen, float around without attaching to each other to form molecules. Alright, so we're digging on something really, really tough right now, right? Because we're talking about the sun containing water, which really should be a smack in the face. That's really an oxymoron when you think about it, right? And how many people actually give that a kind of thought on their daily, life, on their daily routine? Not many, right? So we're gonna carry on, to the next tab, and we're gonna really break this down and get into the cream of it. All right, so let's see what we got. Peace. So speaking on all of this hydrogen, all of this light from the sun, if you know the way the supernaturalist works, you know I automatically thought of melanin. And here we have this article, right? The unsuspected capacity of melanin to transform light energy into chemical energy. All right. I'm not sure what the rest of this is. Right? I'm not trying to have it take away from what I just read. And that is the unsuspected capacity of melanin to transform light energy into chemical energy. Alright, and that's what we're going to be digging on in this article, in this breakdown. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything for me to grab, but nah, I'm going to go down to where I meant to bring you guys to. Trying to see what's a good point. Alright, let's just take it from the top. Alright, I'm gonna bring it from right here. Don't ask me why. I'm gonna just dive in, what we call a belly flop, and let's see. It says Trachemese scripta has been the subject of extensive research into adaptations that permit neuronal survival without oxygen, but none of the published studies seems to take into account the ever-presence of melanin that the turtle has mainly on the skin and in the shell, at least macroscopically. Therefore, their conclusions are confuses, intricate, and ultimately do not resolve the question. Thus, at no time do turtle neurons experience an energy deficit that would otherwise constitute a trigger for catastrophic cell death. But this can be explained as consistent if we add to the equation of the unsuspected intrinsic property of melanin transform light energy into chemical energy by means of dissociation of the molecule of water, such as chlorophyll in plants. Now I know that was a lot, right? But when we pay attention to this part right here, where they say if we add to the equation the unsuspected intrinsic property of melanin transform light energy into chemical energy by means of dissociation of the molecule of water, such as chlorophyll in plants. Now, why am I highlighting that? Because when we were reading on the sun is water, right? It says, like all stars, the sun contains every known element, including oxygen and hydrogen. In some places, the sun's oxygen and hydrogen even combine to form H2O or water. So hot, in fact, that nearly all of its atoms, including oxygen and hydrogen, float around without attaching to each other to form molecules. And that's exactly what this article said that the melanin does. It says if we add to the equation the unsuspected intrinsic property of melanin transform light energy into chemical energy by means of dissociation of the molecule of water. Alright, that means that it separates the water from the melanin in order to abstract energy. That's the same process that the sun does. Okay, so now we're talking light bodies. Now I'm starting to grasp this angle of light, right? The difference between the Grigories or the Gregories. So as we digging on this, we're able to see what's really going on. We have those who can dig on the sun's hydrogen, but in the body, right? The same way the sun has access to this water, right? By way of hydrogen, the body has access to this water. But it's the dissociation of the water that the light energy is transformed into chemical energy. So let's break it down, right? We have light energy transformation into chemical energy. Now it says the first step in plants can be represented as follows, and that's liquid to gas. Okay, so here we see how H2O breaks down into 2H2, which is gas, and then into O2. Okay, it says traditionally gives much value to molecular oxygen is generated as a result of the dissociation of the water molecule, but in our opinion the value product is molecular hydrogen, since it is the carrier of energy par excellence in the entire universe, besides a powerful antioxidant effect that is very useful in biochemical terms. And on the other hand, oxygen is toxic to any concentration. Proof of this is that plants expel it into the atmosphere. Now, what the did you just hear what they said? Plants find oxygen to be toxic, and so they repel it. They expel it back into the atmosphere. Okay? And the fact that hydrogen is within the oxygen is now turned back into water because it's a separation. The plant took the energy from the molecule and expelled the water. So you wake up and you see your grass is wet. This is how the earth breathes, right? When you breathe after a physical activity, you sweat. Do you not produce water in the same way? You expel the water, right? The body works in the same way. All right. It says today chlorophyll was considered the only one biological molecule capable of carrying out such a transformation, but now that melanin makes its appearance as a energetic molecule of first order, the old paradigm of chlorophyll is broken into 1,000 pieces. All right, so melanin is just completely upgrading the scientist's process, or their understanding of the process, the way light interacts with this source of conductivity. Okay, so they thought they had to drop by comparing it to chlorophyll. Now we're seeing that as they get extensive studies on melanin, right, which you're rich in melanin. Alright, so we're starting to understand that their paradigm of the way they saw chlorophyll is broken into 1,000 pieces. It says melanin, the mammal's chlorophyll. Melanin, luminous energy. Luminous energy. Melanin is what? Luminous energy. What is the sun? Is the sun not a luminous energy? Do we need to go back and look at it again? The sun, right, which contains what? 70% hydrogen, right? 70% hydrogen. If the etymology of hydrogen is the producing of water, that means the sun is producing water in a luminous light form, right? As a luminous light form. So they're saying melanin is a luminous energy. It becomes chemical energy as in chlorophyll happens, but is thousands of times more efficient, giving that melanin absorbs all the electromagnetic spectrum. This is from radio waves to gamma rays to chlorophyll. And chlorophyll just absorbs the extremes of visible light, blue and red. Okay, so melanin absorbs everything. It says, in addition to that, unlike chlorophyll, in which the dissociation of water is irreversible, in melanin, the dissociation of water molecule is reversible. For example, melanin transforms the liquid water in gas, and vice versa, which can be represented in the following way. So your melanin actually takes water and can transform that into a gas. Now, you know, this might sound like some nerd shit, but watch when I break it down. Watch when I actually let you in on what gas is. Watch how this really fuck you up, because you really think you know something until you do. And right now, you're just here at the supernaturals. Alright? So, here we have the scientific breakdown, the example. Alright, I'm going to highlight it one time, because they say this is how melanin breaks down the liquid into a gas and turning it into what? Ether. I'm not making this shit up. You're seeing it right now. Alright? And you know the title of this drop. You're able to read it. This is why you clicked on it, right? It took some time, but now you're starting to see the water starting to boil. So it turns it into what? It says it takes H2O liquid, turns it into gas, 2H2, and then back into O2 gas, and that O2 gas combined with the H2O plus the 4 ether. Okay? We're going into the ether, the 4 ether. It says for every 2 molecules of water that is reformed, 4 high energy electrons are generated by what we attain energy during dissociation, and also the reformation of the water molecule. So the dissociation of water within the body creates ether. Oh man, it's about to get really real right now on the Magic Ether bus. Because like I said, you can only have the keys if you're surfing the wave. Alright. It says part of the energy that is released as a result of the dissociation of the water molecule is captured by the hydrogen molecule which carries it. Since the hydrogen molecule is not combined with the water, it moves through it, and in the case of the cell, scrolls through cytoplasm, allowing it to reach up into the last corner of the cell. Oh, this shit's amazing, man. What? What? We're talking about the body, alright? Alright? So, this was just a little preview, man, of this article breaking down melanin and how it uses hydrogen to convert light energy into chemical energy. And chemical being alchemical, because we're digging on what? Elements. You are elemental, Shabata. Alright. So, man, I hope you're getting the babies out the bathwater. We definitely got some more to get into. We're gonna break it down. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit, amazed, man, because it's always amazing when you're able to put things in the dragonfly perspective. But anyway, we're gonna carry on. Let's get to it. Peace, peace. Alright, so as you can see, we are digging on the term gas. Alright? And I'm not sure if anyone's ever done this before. But we'll go back to the last article, right? And how we were, basically seeing that liquid within melanin was used to transform into ether. The four high energy electrons, all right, that are generated when we obtain energy during dissociation, or also the reformation of the water molecule. All right, so when we dissociate from the water molecule, this is the energy that is released. All right, and we capture it, and it's the ether. But I told you that we were going to dig on this gas. All right, so as we break down this gas, all right, gas as we know it, what they said liquid breaks down into before it reaches into your ether, right, is what? Probably from Greek chaos. Chaos. Gas means empty space. Chaos. So they said gas is really pronounced as chaos because in the Greek language there's a KH pronunciation. That's the G sound in the Greek, ka. So it'd be not gas but chaos. And the breakdown is, according to the occult sense, a proper element of spirits or ultra rarefied water. All right. It says it's also a combustible of mixed vapors. We're talking about heat, steam, water that is warm, lit. All right. Extreme temperature. The vapors. Moist. All right. I mean, who would have thought, right? We're talking about gas and empty space. Empty space. So that also lets you know, in different references where you can apply this term space and just replace it with gas. All right. A gas that is used to convert water into ether. That's something that the melanin does to dissociate the water molecule in order to gain energy. All right. We're just talking about how it builds on hydrogen using light to transform into chemical energy. Chemical being the gas being the chaos being what they want to refer to as empty space. But we know it's not empty space. You know? You know what I'm saying? We know it's not empty space. But nonetheless, this is what they get chaos from. So they took the term chaos and called it gas. Which is why they want to refer to the space as chaos. And like I said in the last drop before this one, we was going to speak on it, right? We was going to touch on this chaos. So chaos is really just gas. And gas is really a combustible of mixed vapors. What are the vapors? Vapor, all right? A moisture. A warm exhalation, all right? Steam and heat. To exhale. All right? To exhale. That's how you get vapor. The release. We're talking about a release. So the building of something and then the release of something is how you get vapor. And vapor is what stimulates your main body of gas. All right. So remember I was talking about how the plane, the earth, it breathes. It's forever replicating the breath. Right? When we're digging on chaos, which is just gas. Right? Now they want to break down chaos even further into what they want to break it down as, right? It says gaping, void, empty, immeasurable space. It says the abyss, which gapes wide open, that which is vast and empty. To yawn, gape, be wide open. Alright. Chaos. Chaos. Also down here, you know, if you tap in, alright, it says that sometimes this chaos was personified as a god. Alright, the begetter of Erebus and Nyx or nights. Alright, for the night. Keep this in mind. Again, we're just talking about chaos and how it relates to gas, right? And how your melanin uses chaos to create energy. It takes the chaos, what they want to refer to as chaos, puts it in order for you to sustain the breath. Alright? For you to continue to breathe or yawn. Right? To yawn. Right? Because the vapor is really just the exhalation, which is to exhale. And when you yawn, that's all you're doing, right? So they're referring to the opening, the deep. When you yawn, your mouth is wide open, right? Wide open. And that represents chaos. The same way the portal to this matrix, which is also the womb, the natural woman's womb, is what they're referring to as the chaos, which is why the etymology is the gate, right? To be wide open. What they want to refer to is the empty, the immeasurable space. Alright? So this chaos is just gas. And this gas, this chaos, is also personified as being the parent of night. Alright, so we're going to carry on. Peace to the realness. Now, as you can see, day will, be the exact opposite of night. So if chaos is what gave birth to night, what gave birth to the day? Alright, what is the breakdown for day? I want you to focus your attention right here. To burn. Right? During the day. It says it is of obscure origin. And you already know on this channel what we say about this, right? Whenever they mention the obscurity of origins, all they're telling you is that they don't know. They're not sure because it comes from you. And we're going to prove it. But in the meantime, I want you to focus to burn, okay? To shine, day, right? To shine. The time of light, daylight hours. What they want to refer to when the sun is in full supremacy. To burn, to shine. All right. It says to see fever. We're not going to do all that, but to burn, to shine. right? And then we're just talking about the opposite of night, which would be this chaos, this gas. Alright. It's carrying on back to the night. Alright. Night is what, they refer to as the dark part of the day, the absence of the sun or spiritual illumination, moral darkness or ignorance. The dark. And we were talking about the last drop, right? That all seeds, all natural seeds grow in the dark. Alright. So let's not get lost in the sauce and washed upon the waves. But nonetheless, we're digging on night, right? Because night comes from the Greek nix or nox, nix, right? The Latin is nox, knock. And when we were looking at the chaos tab, this was a goddess. So night in the Greek is the Greek goddess for night, which is night. We're just only talking the opposite of day, which is to burn, to shine, right? To burn, to shine. So it's crazy how night is also related to fight. Right? But nonetheless, we're digging on the breakdown of the Greek night. Here, of course, we have the ether, right, which was the chemical compound to that conversion of gas, right? This is what the melanin was doing. This right here is what the melanin was doing. It was creating the ether. What is the ether? Ether is the upper regions of space, according to the etymological breakdown, right? The upper pure bright air, the sky, the firmament. Ether is the firmament. The firmament, ether, upper air, pure, the purer air, the sky, as opposed to the lower air. Ether means to burn, to shine. To burn, to shine. Where did we see that? Didn't we just see that? We seen it where? In day. Right? The etymology of day means to burn and to shine. So it's a trip, because now we're digging on ether, and ether means the exact same thing. It says in ancient cosmology, the element that filled all space beyond the sphere of the moon, constituting the substance of the stars and planets, conceived as a pure form of fire or air, or as a fifth element. Alright, we're talking about ether, which this article is barely saying that they're realizing once your melanin dissociates from the water molecule, tends to create in order to gain chemical energy. What chemical energy? The chemical energy of this gas, right? Or what they want to refer to as chaos, right? Chaos, the abyss. And when we're digging on night stems from this chaos. yet you convert that into etherical energy. Alright? You convert that. The unsuspected capacity of melanin to transform light into chemical energy. We're just talking about ether because ether means to burn and to shine. It is the upper air. It is the firmament. So what does that make you as the Etherian? You've been hearing Natural talk about Etherians for a while. I told you the breakdown was coming. It's been a long time coming. Alright. Now it says the name was also bestowed on a volatile chemical compound known since 14th century for its lightness and lack of color. Lack of color. Right? Lack of color. Which is interesting because they also say, you know, black is a lack of color. Right? Just something to ponder and think about. Yet we're talking about the ether. We're talking about to burn, to shine, which is exactly what day means, to burn, to shine. Right? And it says ether is related to edifice by way of burning. And when you go ahead and you dig on edifice, edifice is a building. Alright, a temple or a sanctuary. It is also a dwelling or a house. And it usually has a hearth. What is a hearth? That's what you will refer to as a fireplace. And that's what an edifice is, because it represented the burning. Right? The bursting into flames, to burn, to be of the day within the building, within your temple, within your sanctuary, within your dwelling, your house. That's exactly what your house is, right? Your home. It is your sanctuary, or at least it's supposed to be. You know, I don't know. Quarantine got a lot of people looking like maybe their dwelling, their house, their home is the real prison. Nonetheless, it's supposed to be a sanctuary, an edifice where you practice the burning like a natural one should of this ether. Right? Because the ether is to burn or to shine, and to be of the day is the burning or the shining of the sun. Right? Which uses hydrogen, right? It uses hydrogen as the majority of the conversion of its energy. So the fact that your house is actually in unison, in link, in key with the way you generate ether. Alright? Just for, you know, some food of thought. Alright. Here, you know, we just digging on the ether. Still. Alright, it says ether, also known as Aether, is the primordial deity of light and one of the oldest children born from Nyx. Alright. And Erebus, and is the brother of Hemera. He is also the personification of the upper sky and embodies the pure upper air that the gods breathe, as opposed to the normal air breathed by mortals, mainly humans. Ether is one of the only Greek. Oh man, the hijack is never late. Alright, you see it for yourself. But nonetheless, you know, you gotta dodge all hijacks as you see it. But nonetheless, it says he was also the god of the sky, which is the ancient Greeks considered to be blue ether. Alright? The blue ether. Okay, it says the ancient Greeks believed that the sky was a dome. The ancient Greeks believed that the sky was a dome that encased the entirety of the earth. At night, Night was drawing her veil across this dome to obscure the light. This also blocked Ether's domain from the reach of the ancient Greeks. Alright. It says Ether was one of the three primordial air gods. He represented all of the air at the upper reaches of the Earth's atmosphere. The Earth directly below him, dispersed over the Earth, was the domain of chaos. Alright, you see how this is all interlinked? Alright, this is all interlinked. It goes right back to what we was digging on. We were just talking about gas and how your melanin converts this gas into chemical energy. They call that chemical energy chaotic, when really we're just talking about the ether, right? Which, according to the ancient Greeks, when you dodge y'all hijacks, is what they're referring to as a god. All right. And when you know you get the drop before last, we're letting you know how you know, this melanin is a gift from the Creator. All right. And we're just talking about the breath as the charge. So this ether, all right, this ether being a divine entity of some nature, you know, to the mythology of the ancient Greeks, all right, which also means to burn or to shine, which is also the root word or the root breakdown today. All right, ether. All right. Now, why am I digging on this? Because what do they refer to you as the natural ones? I mean, there's tons of names. I'm pretty sure there are tons of terms you can think of. But this one that I'm about to pitch to you, I'm sure you haven't seen or heard of like this, right? Which is why I brought you in the direction that I brought you in, you know. But off the topic, off the surface, right, off top, especially, you know, from the conception of this corporation, these foreign entities and these people alike, you know, they were referring to you and to everyone else as Ethiopians, right? AKA an Ethiopian. What is the etymology to Ethiop in Ethiopian? A Negro. You see it for yourself, right? Ethiopian, Ethiops. All right. Etymology from Aether. Aether, right? Which means what? To burn. To burn. face. What they want to refer to as the burnt face, right? But when we really get into it, it's just fiery looking. Or sunburn. But it's not really a sunburn, because we don't burn in the sun, right? It's fiery looking. And the face burns because of the ether. Do you hear it? The ether? The Ethiop? You got Ethiop, you got ether. Nah, you still not with me? Let's take it further. Right? We're talking about Ethiopia, Ethiopia, Abyssinia. We're just talking Prester John. We're just talking Kung Fu Master, fresh up in the dojo. Ethiopia, to burn, the burnt face. The ether. Alright, when you're digging Ethiopia, right? Aethiops, Ethiopia. When we're digging on the ether, you see the same root word right here. You see it? You see it? It's the same word. So the term is really what? Ethiopian. Ethiopian. The ether. The ether. Alright? The ether ones, the etherical ones. That's really what we're digging on, right? I mean, when we pull it up, right? Are you not as children of the Ethiopians unto me? Alright? Are you not as the children of Ethiopians unto me? Are you not? Ethiopians, right? They've always referred to you as the Ethiopians, the ether face. The ether face. Alright, the ether face, to burn. To shine. That which is the firmament of the upper air. Which is why the angles of light got Thoth in the panic, right? The ether ones, the etheric ones, right? Ether, Ethiopia. Ether. It's been here the entire time, right? Samuel Sewell referring to the natural ones of the land, right? On this side as the Ethiopians. All right, being the sons and daughters of the first Adam. Alright. These Ethiopians, or these ether Ethiopians. The Aether. Alright? The Aether ones. You know, because it's always coming back to you. Alright. It's always coming back to you. They found you sitting right here. Alright, which is why, you know, Samuel Sewall was referring to you as such. Right? Because everywhere they went, they saw the Aether faces. Or the faces of Aether. Right? They called you Ethiopian everywhere. Alright? Now, we got a little bit of this in the last one. You know, but this is the Ramals. And the Ramals, they were the first root race of the so-called Atlantean Lemurian land, right? And as you can see, it ranges from what they want to refer to as 1 million to 800,000, and so on and so on. It says that Atlantis extended from a few degrees of east of Iceland to about the site now occupied by Rio de Janeiro. It embraced Texas and the Gulf of Mexico, the southern and eastern states of America, the Labrador, and the area from there to Ireland, Scotland, and a small portion of the north of England. It also reached from Brazil to the African Gold Coast. The second map period shows the distribution of land after the first great catastrophe about 800,000 years ago in the Miocene age. Much of the north of the continent was submerged and the rest much rent. The growing American continent was separated by a chasm from the remainder of Atlantis, which then occupied the bulk of the Atlantic basin from about 50 degrees north latitude to a few degrees south of the equator. Considerable subsidences and upheavals in other parts of the world also took place. The British Isles, for example, forming part of a huge island embracing the Scandinavian peninsula, the north of France, all the intervening and some of the surrounding seas. Oh, that's all they're gonna give us? Let's see, hold up. See, right? Looks like that's all they gonna let me get out of what I was about to kick off, and it was some crazy stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah. They got me good. It got me good because they knew what I was gonna do. Nonetheless, though, if I can get it again, what I will do is just post this on my. Hold on. Let's see if I can trick them. Hold on. This is tripping. Got him. Got him. See how we do it? Ooh wee. Ooh wee. Look, and it's like crazy because it's gonna take me back to where I was. So let's see. Alright, so look, I stopped right here. You see how we did that? Man, that's how you gotta do it sometimes when you navigating, right? It says the third map period shows the land surface about after the second catastrophe about 200,000 years ago. This catastrophe, however, being relatively much smaller than the first one, Atlantis proper was now split into a northern island called Ruta, a southern called Aether. The future North and South America were separated from one another. Egypt was submerged and the Scandinavian island was joined to the future Europe. The fourth map period shows the land surface after the stupendous convulsion which took place in 75.25 BC. Aether almost entirely disappeared. Ruta was reduced to the comparatively small island of Poseidonus about the center of the Atlantic Ocean. The land surface was then roughly as it is today, though the British Isles were still joined to Europe. The Baltic Sea was non-existent and the Sahara Desert was still ocean. In 9564 BC, Poseidonus was finally submerged. The Toronto MS, which appears to have been written about 3,500 years ago among the Mayas of the Yucatan, translated by the Plungion, gives the following description of the submergence of Poseidonus. In the year 6 Khan of the 11th Malak in the month Zat, there occurred terrible earthquakes which continued without interruption until the 13th Chuan. The countries of the hills of mud, the land of Mu, was sacrificed. Being twice upheaved, it suddenly disappeared during the night. The basin, being continually shaken by volcanic forces, being confined, these caused the lands to sink and to rise several times in various places. At the last, surface gave way and 10 countries were torn asunder and scattered. Unable to stand the force of the convulsions, they sank with their 64 million of inhabitants 8,060 years before the writing of this book. In addition to the 4 great catastrophes mentioned, there were many other minor ones. The initiated kings and priests who followed the good law were aware beforehand of the impending calamities. Each one therefore became a center of prophetic warning and ultimately the leader of a band of colonists. The name of the 7 sub races are as follows. All right. And it says right here, with the exception of the first 2, the names chosen have been those given by the ethnological to traces of these sub races or parts of them which they have found. The first 2 are given the names by which they called themselves. So the first 2 are the names that these people called themselves. All right. Now it says the first sub race, the Rumal, says the Sana Kumara, the head of the hierarchy, began almost immediately after his coming to make the arrangements for the founding of the 4th root race. According to the 4th race, Manu selected the smallest, densest, and best of the Lemurians from the 4th subrace at the time when they were under the guidance of king initiates and arranged for suitable eagles to incarnate in the bodies they provided. Much difficulty seems to have been experienced, tribes being segregated, their members intermarrying for long periods. Thus the best thing then selected and paired off with the best of another segregated party. The Manu and his disciples also incarnated into other to improve the physical type. It will be remembered that a number of initiates and their disciples from the interchain Nirvana had incarnated in the Lemurian 6 subrace, and that they had greatly improved the bodies of that subrace. These improved bodies also the Manu used for his purposes, a large number of developed entities, thus taking the lead in pressing things forward. Alright, now I'm gonna bring you down here. Now watch this. Alright, now right here, okay, it says the Romal race came into existence 4 and 5 million years ago. Much of Lemuria still existed, and Atlantis had not yet become as large as it eventually became. The Romal race was born about latitude 7 degrees north and longitude 5 degrees west at a place which is now referred to as the Ashanti Coast. Alright, it was hot, moist country where huge antediluvian animals lived in reedy swamps and dank forests. The fossil remains of such plants are now in our coal seams. It says the race was at first mahogany black in color. They were about 10 or 12 feet in height, their stature dwindling gradually through the centuries. Alright. It says they ultimately migrated to the southern shores of Atlantis, where they fought with the Lemurian 6 and 7 subraces. Some of them settled down and intermarried with the black Lemurians. Alright. Others reached the extreme northeastern promontories contiguous with Iceland. Here they gradually became lighter in color, and about 1 million years ago were tolerably fair. Alright. Now, we got the drop right here for what it is, right? Okay. So everywhere they went, you know what I'm saying, they ran into what they want to refer to as these burnt faces. Okay, these burnt faces. And they can't seem to get away. Which is why I said they knew exactly when you were going to burst into consciousness. They are following your natal chart. Alright, who? I mean, we're just talking about the Watchers. Alright. Why? Because as we see this Etheria, right? The Aether, the land of the Aether, that's what Ethiopia means, right? So when we're talking Prester John, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about the land of the Aether, right? This Etheria, all right, is what they want to refer to as a type of Holy Land. All right. All right, Travels of Grigory. It is sometimes called Etheria, the pilgrimage of Etheria, or the pilgrimage to the Holy Lands. Alright? This Etheria, this land of the Aether. Alright? We're just talking about Ethiopia, right? Alright. You dodge all hijacks. I'm talking about Ethiopia. Why? Because they refer to as the fact that it was inhabited by a whole bunch of what? Black faces. Black faces. Alright, that's all they care about. Black faces. Because when you're digging on the term Ethiopia, they're telling you it means the burnt face. We're just talking about the ether. The most pure air. The pure air. Alright? Especially, it seems that in antiquity, the term Ethiopian was used wherever the Greeks encountered black peoples. Alright, the term Ethiopian was used whenever the Greeks encountered black peoples. It's much like how today we refer to indigenous North American peoples as Indian. Sometime regardless of where in the Americas they're from. Now, why would they refer to, again, the North American indigenous? Alright, the North American indigenous peoples, as you can see, is being compared to Ethiopian. Just like your script, right? Right? Just like your script say. Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? When you get back into Ethiopia, they're comparing the indigenous North American peoples as Ethiopians. You see how they spell it in the correct form? Aether, right? As in the ether. Right? The Aether, which is the firmament. We're just talking about you. Alright, so wherever the Greeks encountered black peoples, they labeled these black faces Ethiopians. Alright. Just like how Samuel Sewall referred to you as Ethiopians. But, I mean, we were talking about the copper-colored races that they found here. Who they want to refer to as burnt faces. And we're really talking about the Etherians, the Ethiopians. All right. Greek name Ethiopia, and Ethiopian from two words, to burn and face. As in what? A burnt face, red brown. It was used as a vague term for dark-skinned populations since the time of Homer. We're talking about the Aether. Alright? The Aether. Ethiopians. Alright? That which is to burn. Alright? That which is to burn. We're talking about the Aether. Who the Greeks themselves give credit to being of the gods. Alright. So we got a few more tabs to close out. And we're going to get ready to ride out. So let's get to it. Peace, peace. So here we have it again. Before I even dip out of here, right? It says, with regard to the Ethiopians, Strabo indicates that they look similar to Indians. I just, we have to bring it up one more time before we dip. But we're talking about Aethiop, the son of Vulcan, which is who? A so-called god, right? Again, we're talking about Aether. Aether. Alright? We're talking about Aether. So as the Etherians, right? The natural ether ones. This is where the term Ethiopian comes from. Alright, and when we were digging in that book, when we were reading on the Ramals, we're talking about that all the ancient spots where, the natural ones were. Alright, and that's all in the areas that they want to label Ethiopian. We're just talking Prester John and the three Ethiopians. King Dawi. But Ethiopia for the Aether. The Aether. Alright. We're talking about the Aether. See? Aether. Which is formed out of this chaos. Right? And this chaos is just the vapor or the gas. Alright, which is why they connected it back to this Vulcan. Alright? It's all the same thing. The Spaniards, we are told, were informed by other captives that these black men came from a region at no great distance where there was a people of that color with whom they were frequently at war. These, adds the Spanish writer, were the first Negroes ever found in the New World, and I believe no others have since been discovered. Alright? This war, these odds, war over daughters, maybe. You know, but this back and forth, you know what I mean, that had these Negroes and what they want to refer to as the new world, right? Vasco Nunez, right? Balboa and them. All right. You know, because when they came over here, they were referring to your lands, right? Your lands as the foundation, the land of the Aether, right? The stable land. They called it Terra firma, or the firm land, the dry land. Right? This is what they refer to it as. The firm land. Literally, it was the firm land. Now, when we were breaking down Aether, it said that Aether was the firmament, and that wherever they saw the Aether face, they called him the Ethiopian or the Etheric. Firmament. Alright, the Spanish called your land the firm land. Alright, the firm land. They called it the firm land. Alright. Terra firma. Alright. See, it says province of Terra firma. Indigenous peoples of the Americas, the vice royalty of Peru. Alright. The province of Terra firma. See, it says right here, old map. Peru, Amazon land, map of Terra firma. The firm land, the land of Aether, the firmament, the solid earth, the earth that did not sink from cataclysm, the land that was above the water, which is above the nine. Nicholas Leon, an intimate, right? An intimate Mexican authority recorded that the oral traditions of his people, some of them reported that the oldest inhabitants of Mexico, blacks, the existence of these blacks and giants is commonly believed by all the races in their various languages. They had no words to designate their existence. No matter where you go. All right. That's what they're referring to you as. Alright, because you're really you're really from the Aether. You're really from the firmament, the upper, bright, pure air, which burns and shines during the day. The day belongs to you as an etherical one. You know what I'm saying? This is why these watchers, these archons, this is why they've been tracking your natal chart. They've been watching exactly who you are. They've been waiting for you to activate, because they realize that you were going to realize at some point that you were the Ethiopian. Alright, the Ether ones. So that's gonna do it. Until the next time. A-hops, all the real ones. Appreciate all the, the love that everyone's just been sending. It's been amazing. We definitely got, more on the way, but we'll get it to you whenever we can, however we can. Until then, continue to surf the wave, and we'll be getting at y'all real soon. Peace.